Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I am Lily of Lily's Book Vlog, and if you can't guess by the title of this video, I am going to be reading my first ever Stephen King novel. It's interesting because one, I picked this as a TBR book I was planning on reading, just random TBR. And I was like, you know what? I should pick a Stephen King because it's getting fall. He's king of horror. Let's do it. But I'm not a fan of king of horror. So I was like, I need something not horror-like. And I decided to go with Billy Summers because this is, from what I've seen and heard and read, not horror. So, but the interesting thing that I didn't know when I picked Stephen King for this month is that today of this filming of this intro for his video, or this video, it's his birthday. So September 21st is his birthday today that I'm doing this. I didn't know his birthday was in September, but I just picked it because it's fall and I was like, I need to read a Stephen King book. So it's interesting that I picked it for this purpose, for this month, for this time. So picked this one. This is Billy Summers. This is one of his other novels that is not horror because, like I said, he's the king of horror. He wrote It, Carrie, The Shining, Pet Sematary, Misery, all these others. He has like over 60 books, different books written. And it's crazy because a lot of them I have heard of, I just never read. And I think I've watched maybe a couple movies, but not really. I know Pet Sematary I for sure have seen. And again, when I knew that he did that, I was like, ooh, I don't know if I can read his books. But then I found out he writes also like crime, suspense, thriller, fantasy. I was like, maybe one of those. So, Billy Summers, crime novel. Love crime, criminal justice major. I'm okay with learning or reading about crime stuff. So, pick this one. So far, I am already about 80 pages in, like chapter 5 or 6, I think. And so far this is pretty interesting, not too bad. It was going slow at first, not really piquing my interest as much, and I was trying to figure out how this is going to be over 500 pages worth with the story that was going on. But so far I'm kind of interested, curious to see what's going on. Billy Summers, he's a guy who's a hitman who takes out bad people, and this is the story basically of his last hit, his last job as a hitman for hire. And he's mentioned that usually last hits, last jobs are kind of a subgenre where something is always going to go bad. So he's a little hesitant in regards to that, and there's some things that are just not adding up so far already in this last hit that he's like curious about and wondering what's going on. So it's interesting because he plays dumb to the people who are hiring him, but he's really kind of smart and observant and stuff, but he's trying to play a part where he's dumb so they don't like think he's like a bigger threat. So it's curious. I'm very interested to see how it goes, but I will let you guys know. Like I said, I'm gonna see how this goes for my reading first time ever for Stephen King, and hopefully it goes good, and we'll see if maybe more Stephen King is in my future. Not gonna be horror still, but you know, he has other books that maybe I'll check out. So I will let you guys know as I progress what is going on, how I feel, and if I think he's a good enough author in my own right. So I will see you guys in the next update. Bye. Alright, hello again guys, we're back. I am still reading Stephen King's Billy Summers book. It's been a couple days and I thought I'd give a quick little update on where I'm at and how I feel and what's going on in the story. I am currently on page 167, chapter 10. Boom, boom, boom. So we are chugging along. I think I was only 80 pages last time. So about 80 something more. I will say the story has the moments where it like drags on by and it's a little slow. And then there's other moments where it's like really interesting and you just want to keep reading and see what's going on. So there's that. Right now I am curious because it is almost at the time where he's about to have to take the hit for the last job he's doing. And I'm confused because we're not even halfway through the book. So something else has to happen. Whether something goes wrong, whether something else is happening, I don't know. But we're almost at that point. So I'm curious to see what that's going to be. But I do want to say that the one thing that I like is that so Billy Summers is the main character. He's playing a persona of Dave, and Dave is an author. And Billy has always wanted to write a story, so he uses this moment when Dave is writing to write his own story about his life, but changes names and some stuff, right? That part where he's talking about his story and writes it, which is all in bold-faced font, right? That part I really like. It's interesting. It's like dark in a way, but still not like scary dark, but like wow kind of dark. Like that stuff happened. So those are interesting and those are what's keeping me invested. I know too he's also like becoming buddy with the neighborhood people, and he's having conflict with trying not to get too close to them, knowing he's about to do something that might make everyone hate him. So there is that. And then he also has a third persona that he's trying to build up in light of the hit, kind of his backup plan for what he wants to do after. And he talks about how it's so hard and confusing and tiring to try to keep up with all these different things. So yeah, there is that. And like I said, it's going on. It's a little slow at times and a little interesting at times, but you can also tell that he is starting to put together that there's something that's just not right with the people who want him to do this job, and he's just trying to figure out what's going on. But that's why he has his own plan instead of following theirs fully. He has his own because he can tell that something's not right. So there is that. But like I said, we're at 167, not quite halfway there. It's a little over 500 pages, so we'll see what the other 300 some odd pages are and stuff, but we're getting along pretty nicely for this kind of book. It's not too hard to read. It just is a little slow for my liking, but I think it's going to pick up pretty fast here once the hit actually happens and what's going on. And plus, I think too, once it happens, more of his story that he's writing is coming. And like I said, that's the part that right now is pulling me in, is his story in the story. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, I'll keep you updated when I get there in the next part. Okay, so next day, maybe 2 days. I don't even know. I don't remember how long ago I updated you guys, but we are farther. We are now on chapter 15, page 281. We got to the part where basically Billy has done his last hit. He has escaped and like gone undercover, and he's starting to piece together some stuff. Like, again, he knew something wasn't 100% right with the way the job was going, but he was offered, I think, like $2 million or so, right? And he's not going to turn that down, especially when he wants to get out of the business. So he's done the job. He's kept waiting for payment. The guy who he was working with, his name was Nick. He's done jobs for Nick before. Nick had an escape plan set up for Billy, and Billy was like, yeah, of course, sure, I'll go with it. Billy already knew something was up with that. And now he's realizing that he's pretty sure Nick is getting rid of certain people who was associated with this job, and Billy probably would have been taken out as well. One of the guys who owned the building and gave him the weapon was already found basically dead, and the guy who had helped set up the job for him is also he's pretty sure is gone and dead, but he can't get a hold of him and all that, and he's the one who was supposed to tell him about the payment. So there's that. But he had his own backup plan of a different person, a different place where he could hide out. So that's where he's at now. But while he's also still trying to write his story of his time in the Marines and what he was doing there, there was also another complication of where basically there's a storm going on, rain pouring, right? And he's in a bad neighborhood where it's not the best. It's pretty quiet, but it's also run down. He's in a house condo situation where he has the downstairs basement area for himself, and then upstairs is this older couple who they went away because the woman's mother passed away. She went for the funeral, and then they found out they had a bunch of money, so they're on a cruise, so they're gone. But basically in the situation where they're at, a car came, dropped off this girl, and ran. Billy, being the good guy, who, yes, he shot and killed the guy, but he only does that to the bad people, went out to go help her. He realizes that she's been having she had some issues, and she's thrown up and she's unconscious, but some other stuff happened, and that's a little gruesome. So there is that. But basically he helps her, brings her in, dries her off, helping her while she's puking her guts out, all that, and sets her aside. She knows who he is, because his face was blasted on the news as the person who took out the convict, that he had to. So he's wanted. People know who he is. They know his fake ID that he had, the Dave Lockridge, and then they know his actual name, Billy, but William Summers, so they know that. So he's still wanted. He's trying to keep it cool, trying to hide, trying to not be out, but she knows. She found out. But he offered to help take care of her, help her with her situation a little bit, and she's not going to rat him out. So right now, that is where we're at and stuff. And again, I'm still waiting to see what then is going on. I think he's still going to try to get his money and figure out why the Nick guy is taking everyone else out, and what this person that Billy was hired to take out might have known, maybe, but I'm not really sure. So like I said, we're at 281, like I said, so we're over halfway. I'm still curious. It's not, I wouldn't give this a very high rating. It's interesting, but it's not gripping me right now, I will say that. So unless something else happens, I'm not expecting a high rating for this right now, but we'll see. Like I said, there's still a couple hundred pages. Maybe it'll get better, and I'm hoping that I can finish it in the next couple days since the month is almost over, but we will see. So I will let you guys know as I progress. Hopefully I can chug along and just finish it, and we will see. Okay, so it's the next day from the last update, and I need to stop this. Hold on. So it's the next day. I know that for sure. I got quite a bit of reading done. I am now on chapter 20, page 399, almost 400, and it's picking up. Nick is the guy that Billy's going after now. Nick is the one who owes Billy money, and Billy is taking Alice, which is the girl he found last time with him, and he's done some revenge, he's done some plotting, he's talked more about his story and stuff. And again, it's one of those things where it's interesting, it's just not something that like is making me like, oh my gosh, I want to keep reading. But again, we still have close to like 100 or so pages left, so again, we're gonna see. I am curious to find out the reasoning behind why Billy isn't getting paid and what happens in that part. So again, we're in the long haul, or not the long haul, we're in the final lap around. So again, I will let you guys know, and we will see how it goes. Alright, now it's the end. I finished Billy Summers just probably like 10-15 minutes ago, and I had to think about this because I don't know. Like, it's a good book, I will say that, but it's not a great book, in my opinion. Okay? Like, I can see how good his writing is in the book and how he can tell a story and like kind of make you connect with it. But maybe this specific story, I was slightly confused on some things that made it where it was harder for me to grasp what is going on. So I think where I ended last with you guys is that he had gone to Nick, the guy who owed him money, and found out why he was going to get taken out and stuff, and why he really took out the guy he had to take out, which his name was Alan. So he found out why he was hired for the hit, why he was, instead of going to get paid, got a hit put on him and stuff, all this stuff. And in a way, it like makes sense, but then in another way, it's just like one of those things where it's like a bit crazy. So then he finds out who it was that had it where Billy was going to get taken out, and he goes and takes care of that, but he has to bring Alice along for that, for a whole other reason that's slightly messed up and disgusting and stuff. And that happens, and then there's like a loose end from the next place that ends up coming over to the other guy's place that kind of ends it. And like I said, it was good, it was interesting, but not great in my mind, especially when I was reading 500 pages of it. Like, it was building up and like creating it in a bit, but it's just, I don't know, I think I was expecting more for this story, and I was a little shortchanged in my mind. So I think for this, I'm gonna have to give it like a 3.75 stars and stuff. Like I said, it was good, not great, but you know, the ending, I will say, was like kind of almost getting to me a little bit, almost made me tear up a little bit. So that's why it's a little higher, but it's just like the fact that it was dragging on in my mind. Like, it wasn't one of those things where I didn't want to pick it up. It's just one of those things where it wasn't like, oh my god, I need to see what's happening next kind of thing. So I will say that I think I will read another Stephen King book, but maybe I need suggestions, because like I said, this was good but not great, but I don't know. So like I said, if you have any recommendations of Stephen King books that you think would be like better for me to read, mind you again that I'm not a big horror person, so like, you know, it and stuff are not gonna be things I want to read. But if there's other ones that maybe are gonna be more interesting, make it where maybe I would be more into what's going on, let me know, tell me. But like I said, I think I would read more Stephen King. I just don't think it would be like I'm not gonna rush to go read Stephen King, is what I'm saying. It's good from what I read for this, but I'm not in the mood to rush and get more. But yeah, so that is what I did for Stephen King. Like I said, it was pretty good, pretty interesting. I think it took me maybe a week, a little over a week. Like I said, it was pretty quick, pretty quick for reading. Like I said, it flowed easy. Just not the best story in my mind. So, like I said, that is what I have for now. Let me know your thoughts. Again, what Stephen King book should I maybe read next instead? Maybe tell me. But make sure you like and comment down below. Subscribe if you want to keep up to date with me and what I'm gonna read next. Like I said, I want to do more videos kind of similar like this or something else. It's a lot harder for me to do them because of the busy schedule and the chaos, but I would like to. So let me know if you're interested in that. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.